Hello everyone, Rurikhan here coming at you with another video, and today I wanted to talk to you guys about my recording setup. There's a lot of people out there who are looking to start their own kind of like recording thing for YouTube, and there's maybe some people who are just flat out curious about the way I do things. So I thought I'd just show you guys the entire scheme here with all of the devices that I am using. I'm not going to show you the devices themselves because it's just like a big old cable mess behind the monitors that I'm using, so it's kind of pointless to show you that. You wouldn't understand a damn thing that's back there. It's just a really big spaghetti mess. Okay, so in this kind of scheme here, I can kind of explain to you guys, and there's going to be links in the description to all of the devices that I use to kind of channel, you know, the out of the ordinary kind of stuff that I use in this setup. All the links are going to be in the description below. Now, this is the setup that I personally use, and it is optimized to my needs because some of the hardware in this setup I already owned. However, there might be better ways of doing things. However, I cannot recommend because I haven't tried any other ways. Okay, so here's the thing. How do you capture PlayStation 4 for starters? Because a lot of people have asked me that. So PlayStation 4 only has HDMI out. So what I do is I get that HDMI into this device, which is View HD Switch, which pretty much has two HDMI slots, two HDMI inputs, and it is going to convert those into a component signal. So that is going to receive both the cables for the PlayStation 4 as well as the PlayStation 3, because the HDMI signals of these two consoles are protected through HDCP, which means you can't just connect this HDMI cable to a capture card and expect it to work, because again, HDCP encryption is going to prevent you from recording it. So when you convert those particular signals from HDMI to component, they're going to lose their HDCP encryption. Therefore, the signal that is coming to this component cable is already ready to be captured, so to speak. So if you happen to have like a capture card that works with component, at this point you can already just connect the signal directly into that capture card and you're good to go. However, in my case, I want to always have everything ready to capture through HDMI. So what I end up doing is this component cable is going to go into a device from the brand Konig, which converts component back to HDMI, so that I can then basically record through that HDMI signal. However, since the component loses the HDCP encryption at this point, when it goes into this switch, when it gets here and gets converted back to HDMI, it's going to be HDMI without HDCP encryption. And this is kind of like the key thing to capturing the PlayStation 4. So basically, you convert the signal to component, and then from component back to HDMI. There's going to be some quality loss. Bear in mind, it's going to be very, very minor, but there is a little bit of quality loss. And being the perfectionist I am, I have to tell you guys about that. However, here's the thing: when you're uploading video onto YouTube, there's going to be such a huge quality loss from your final render to YouTube that this quality loss over here from HDMI to component back to HDMI, you're not even going to notice it. However, when it gets onto YouTube, it's going to look like ass. But it's not because of this. It's because YouTube just sucks for processing files. So anyways, you convert this, and then when you get here, you have an HDMI signal without HDCP. That HDMI signal is going to get sent into a switch. Now, a lot of you guys might be wondering, why a switch? Why not just a capture card? Because I do not like switching HDMI cables around, because you wear down the hardware. I remember when I was switching between capturing PlayStation 3 and PC and PlayStation 4, it was just like a whole lot of HDMI switching, and I don't want to have to deal with that ever again. So instead, I got myself an HDMI switch, and as you can see, the gaming rig also connects to that HDMI switch. So basically, in order for me to decide what I want to record, I just have to decide which input this switch is using, and pretty much everything that comes out of this switch is going to be recordable. Also, another thing you guys might be wondering: so if you only needed two HDMI inputs, why'd you get a switch that has five inputs? Well, for starters, it's always good for you to be ready for the future. And also, I already knew that I needed at the very least 3 inputs. Why? because supposedly the PlayStation 4 will be dropping the HDCP encryption, at which point I will be removing the HDMI connection from the View HD switch over here, and I'm going to connect the PlayStation 4 directly to this switch, because once Sony gets rid of that HDCP encryption, the signal coming directly from the PlayStation 4 into this switch is going to be a lot cleaner than coming through the whole component conversion. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have a lot of inputs. And you never know what other devices I might be able to upgrade as well. Like if I start making enough money, I'll be able to get a Wii U. So that is going to be another input into the Switch. And then all I have to do is switch the input on the HDMI switch, and I'm ready to record anything without fiddling around with HDMI cables. Because trust me, it is a pain in the ass. It is just a pain in the ass when you're getting ready to record and you're like, okay, now I have to switch this cable over here, put it somewhere else. This is a much cleaner setup than I used to have. So this HDMI switch, in turn, connects to an HDMI splitter. Now, those of you who've seen my review for my current capture card will know the reason why I need this HDMI splitter. Basically, the capture card that you guys see over here, the AverMedia Extreme Cap U3, does not have HDMI pass-through. What does that mean? It means that it only receives an input signal. It has no output signal. So basically you would have to rely on a preview window in order to actually play the game that you need to record. And that's just not good enough. So I got an HDMI splitter. It is also from Konig, I believe. And that pretty much transforms the signal that is coming over from the switch from 1 to 2 HDMIs. And that one of those HDMIs goes straight into a monitor. This is pretty much where you will be doing all of your gaming, like the gaming rig. As you can see, gaming rig goes onto the switch, switch goes onto the splitter, splitter goes onto the monitor. Same thing for the consoles. Consoles go to the switch that transforms the signal into component. From there, they transform the signal back to HDMI. From there, they go into this switch. From this switch to the splitter, back to the monitor. So this is pretty much how this whole system works. Now there's a new device here, which you guys might have also seen a review on in the channel, which is the modded PlayStation Vita. And you guys might be wondering, why don't you just connect the modded PlayStation Vita to the recording rig? And the reason is, if I put the PlayStation Vita on the gaming rig, I can actually get with Katsukiti's viewer, which is the software that you're going to be using to view the image that is showing on the Vita on your PC. By making that thing full screen and putting it on the gaming rig, I can basically record it as if it was a PC game. So I will put these two cables to the PC, which will give me sound as well as image. And then everything comes out through an HDMI. It's a standardization thing. I like recording everything through HDMI. So the more I can standardize this process, the better everything just works. Trust me on this. Like, you can totally just connect the USB to the recording rig, but it's better if you just standardize and record everything through HDMI. Trust me. In my experience, this is what experience taught me. Standardize as much as you possibly can. Use the HDMI standard. Just use the HDMI standard and be done with it. So pretty much everything that you guys see up here, these are just all the different devices and all the different connections. Everything is going to go connect into the switch, from the switch to the splitter. So everything you see here can be recorded. PlayStation 4, PlayStation 3, PlayStation Vita, and PC gaming. And you can easily add more stuff to get recorded here. I'm not sure if the Wii U has HDCP. I don't think so. Nobody seems to be complaining about that. So if you were to add, let's say, a Wii U or an Xbox 360 or even an Xbox One, all you got to do, connect those HDMIs onto this switch and then just select the input that you want to record. Boom, you're good to go. You see the good thing about this setup? Scalability. You can just connect more stuff into it and you're always good to go. Ready to record, just straight up good to go. Okay, so now a little bit more on the capture card. Like I said, it doesn't have a pass-through, which is why I need a splitter. It can capture 1080p all the way to 60 frames a second. So if YouTube suddenly decides to wake up, since one of YouTube's biggest channels just happened to be gaming, PewDiePie, YouTube would do a really good move by allowing people to actually just upload stuff at 60 frames a second. This is my personal opinion, and if YouTube ever goes that route, this current capture card right here is future-proof and ready to go. 1080p, 60 frames a second. Connects through USB 3.0 to a recording rig. You guys might be wondering, what's this recording rig? This didn't exist before. You used to do all your editing in an iMac. This recording rig is an old computer that I got from my father. He wasn't really using it anymore. And the reason why I want to have a recording rig is as long as it's fast enough to record without giving me too much problems, I will use the recording rig to both record as well as render videos. For those of you who do not know, rendering videos actually wears down your hardware, wears down your hard drives, wears down your processor, wears down your GPU if it happens to use your GPU, because depending on the GPU that you have, sometimes you can do rendering that also takes advantage of the GPU. And basically wears down your hardware in general, and basically your computer is going to be worn out faster, so to speak. So having a recording rig, it's just like it's my bitch, so to speak. It just does all the slave labor so that I don't have to put unnecessary strain onto my gaming rig, which will supposedly increase its lifetime, even though it's already over 3 years old. So I'm not exactly sure how long that is going to last. But it also allows me to basically separate the recording entirely from the gaming rig, which again, even though capture cards really lessen the load on the CPU, they still use a little bit of it, so it's a little bit more of optimization. Then at the very end of the spectrum, you have my USB microphone. You guys can see that this is a headset, but it's my USB microphone that I always use, and that is now connected to the recording rig. So both audio and video are getting recorded into this computer. All the editing is also done here. Editing is actually a lot slower now, but the format that the AverMedia Extreme Cap outputs is a lot superior to the Live Gamer HD. So these files actually work a lot better with Adobe Premiere Pro. So it's actually faster for me at the moment to edit, because the files that come out of this capture card are just really, really good when compared to the stuff that the Live Gamer HD was outputting. A lot of the times I would have to do edits just by sound with the Live Gamer HD, because I wouldn't even be able to see the image before I would render the video, and rendering video takes a lot of time. And this is the setup. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of people maybe there's going to be people that have a lot of questions about the setup. So try to leave all the questions that you might have in the comment section below. I'll try to address as many of them as I can. Once again, remember, all the devices that you guys see here are going to be in the description below in case you guys are curious about them. Also remember that this particular step here can be optimized. Just do some research on HDCP stripping. You will be able to find several devices that can do HDCP stripping maybe in a better way than what I'm doing. The thing is, like I said, I already had one of the pieces of the puzzle. So instead of buying a whole new part, I just said, let's just buy something that complements this and it will be cheaper for me. Then in case you guys are curious in terms of software, well, basically for all of my audio needs, I currently use Adobe Audition. I do all the noise gating because I do noise gating on pretty much every single audio recording I make. I also do, I currently also do, it's not a speech volume leveler, which is an effect that basically, if I speak too loud or speak too softly, it kind of evens it out, and it doesn't sound as bad as it used to. Because I remember some of my older videos, like sometimes I would speak really loud, other times I would speak really low, and it would kind of like go all over the place. With speech volume leveler, it actually helps out with that a lot, as well as noise gating capabilities. AverMedia's ReCentral, which is the thing that records pretty much all of the gameplay from the capture card. It is the software that comes with the AverMedia. And whenever there needs to be video, I get that old camcorder that I have that I use for my interviews and all that stuff. And all of these things get inputted onto Adobe Premiere for editing, which then exports a file, which I then upload onto YouTube. This is pretty much my entire process, from hardware to software to everything. Any questions that you guys have, feel free to leave them in the comment section. As per usual, thank you very much for watching. And I'll see you guys on the next one.